Hello, everybody, and welcome here to the Sports Talk Network channel. And here today, I'm going to be doing a video here talking about anxiety. I know I did do a video, excuse me, previously talking about it, my battle with it, and what I was doing at that time of dealing with it and everything like that. But I wanted to do an update video, and a friend of mine did want to join in the conversation as well. So let's welcome our guest of honor here tonight, Mounties Corner.
Hey, what's going on, Steve? Thanks for having me, man. Very important topic. Something that has obviously raised a lot of awareness in the last couple of years, especially. So it's not quite as a secret as much as it used to be. So no, I'm honored to be here and tell my story.
Yeah, it's a very topical topic. It's a serious topic. It's a topic that some people don't like to talk about their mental health and stuff like that. They feel maybe not above it, but they don't want people to think of them any less if they find out that they have anxiety or depression issues or otherwise whatever spectrum that individual has. It's not just individualism of being private. Okay, there's that too, but also some people just don't want to talk about it all because they fear of judgment from others, which then would bring on their anxiety even more so, which would then exasperate the situation. I know there was an athlete, NBA star. I don't know if you heard about this, Mountie. Kevin Love of the Cleveland Cavaliers, NBA basketball player, uh, wrote on a blog for Bleacher Report, I believe, or one of those websites, reputable websites, about his anxiety attack he had during a basketball game. And when it happened, his teammates thought something else was going on, and they were wondering why is he leaving the court, this and that, and then telling the story of him having a panic attack during the game. So, and it makes me think as someone that's been going through anxiety for the past couple of years and dealing with it daily and stuff like that, that even these athletes that make millions and millions, or celebrities and actresses or actors that make millions and millions, and you think that their life is great, the grass is not always greener on the other side, I guess, and that there are real things that they are dealing with. But I guess to start off and kick off this journey of talking about it, let's hear your story, Mountie. Let's hear from Mounties Corner, your story of anxiety and how long and started, and go from there.
So my anxiety issues have really been escalated and more serious, if you will, since 2000 and I think it's 2013, like December of 2013 going into 14. Yeah. That's when I had my first panic attack. I didn't even know what the hell. I mean, I heard of what they were, and just like normal people who don't really look into the severity and things like that. Like, I guess I just assumed that, not ever having one, that it wasn't a big deal. Like, oh, like just, take a couple of deep breaths and get over it, or go have a beer, you'll be fine, kind of deal. I'm not like I was trying to belittle it. I guess I was just uninformed on how serious they can actually be. I think I always had a form of anxiety because once you start going through the process and getting the symptoms of either having anxiety on any level or on the verge of a panic attack, your brain kind of you remember certain instances where it happened, and you didn't really think about it much at the time. At least I didn't. And then I would just, be in the moment at those specific places, and, something was going on, but I didn't really know what it was. So I didn't really think too much of it because I just didn't know what was going on. I just thought it was normal, or, just, heat of the moment, so to speak, or whatever the case is. But my first time, this is when things got real. I got hit with it bang on. And it was something I'll never forget. It was Christmas Day of 2013, I want to say. Yeah, Christmas Day of 2013. So the night before, I had been partying a good amount. I don't think I ate too much that night. And all of a sudden, I was just like, the Christmas Day, I had probably 3 cups of coffee that morning. I had some breakfast and whatever, and I was feeling okay, but I felt really tired. Like I went to bed really late. I didn't get a lot of sleep, probably about 4 hours or so. I was hungover. I had the coffee. I didn't drink any water. And then all of a sudden, like, we were opening up gifts at my parents' place. We'd go to my parents' place on Christmas Day at the time. And then all of a sudden, like, afterwards, I had the opportunity to take a nap, like, because at the time I was with somebody else, my ex-girlfriend. And then later on in the day, we were going to go to her parents' place for Christmas dinner. So I had 3 things going on that day. I had like a breakfast and opening up gifts with my parents. Then the afternoon and night, I had something with I had a Christmas lunch at my parents' place as well, like 3-4 hours later. And in between those 2 meals, I had an opportunity to take a nap. I didn't do it. I felt fine. I just had a couple of cups of coffee and I was just like, I'm going to truck on. And I felt really run down going into that Christmas. I remember a lot of things were kind of going on. Not necessarily bad, just a lot of things were going on. And then I remember taking a seat at the lunch table, about to have like the turkey and all that kind of stuff with my parents. And I felt unbelievably hot. And I was like pretty much almost sweating. I couldn't catch my breath. I just didn't feel good. I felt really dizzy. I almost like everything was like, I don't know how to say it, like very, very real at the time, like a little too real, where I started looking around and I just didn't feel like myself. I guess that's what the biggest symptoms was. And then I was like, okay, like my father had just sit down and we were kind of like, the way that the table was, like there wasn't a lot of room to sort of walk around. So he literally had to get up. He just sat down. He literally had to get up in order for me to like leave, because I was like, I'm going to go to the washroom or whatever. And then I went to the washroom and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? Like I felt like somebody was sitting on my chest and I couldn't catch my breath, and it just got worse and worse and worse. So I told my mom, because I was supposed to, like, they're all ready to eat, and here I am like, I don't know what to do. I'm super scared, and I don't know what to tell anybody, and I don't want to ruin this whole Christmas. I don't want people to freak out, but at the same time, like I don't know what to do. Like I felt like I was gonna pass out, and that was the scariest thing for me. It's like I never had that feeling, nor do I ever want to have it again. But that was the most scariest thing. Okay, it was difficult to breathe and things like that. But the feeling of, I felt really weak and I was going to pass out was like the scariest thing. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was basically having a panic attack. I went to take a cold shower, and then that didn't help. Like normally I thought maybe I was just hungover and I'll get over it. And I went to take a cold shower and I got out and I still couldn't catch my breath. And I was like, what is going on here? And then I called my mom upstairs, because I'd moved out at the time, but my mom and dad are still together and living at home and stuff. And we were there. So I said, Mom, like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't feel well at all. Like, I don't know if I'm having a heart attack or something. Like, all these thoughts started to go in my head and I just couldn't calm down. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, am I going to die? Am I going to die on Christmas Day? Am I going to have to go to the hospital? What are people going to say? Is this going to go on Facebook? Or people like, oh my God, it just spiraled out of control so bad that I just couldn't calm down. I didn't know what to do. So she came up and, she had contacted my ex-girlfriend at the time and said, like, and they were talking amongst themselves and they were like, I think he's having a panic attack. And so I didn't feel like they were taking it serious enough. Like I thought something was wrong. I'm like, maybe you have to call the hospital. I can't breathe right now. There's something wrong. I feel weak. I feel like I'm in a faint. Like, can we do something about this? So you get really on edge also. It's like you feel like nobody wants to help you because they're not taking it serious enough, because I just didn't know what it was. And then I was like, all the thing in my head was like, okay, I'm having a heart attack and I'm going to pass out and this is scary and please get me help. And then it was just from that point on, I went, and she says, okay, don't worry about the lunch, whatever, just go in your room. Here's a paper bag. And she stayed with me for a long time until like I eventually sort of calmed down. Like for whatever reason, I didn't want to get into my bed because I felt like if I was going to get into my bed, I was going to be defeated. So I was literally on the floor in my old bedroom with a blanket on top of me. And it was brutal. Like I went upstairs, not upstairs. I went finally on the bed because and I I was trying to sort of stay awake, and every time I would like almost fall asleep, I would like twitch and like get up, and yeah, like I felt like I also had like a sleep apnea thing going on where like I stopped breathing when I was falling asleep. So that scared me even more because I was like, okay, if I fall asleep, I'm done. And then eventually, which turned out to be the trick behind anxiety, was I was so tired, Steve, that I literally said to myself, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to fight this anymore. And I'm just going to fall asleep and we'll see what happens. And I couldn't tell you the feeling that I got when I opened my eyes the next morning, or maybe not the next morning, but like it was probably later on that evening because I went to lie down at 3 o'clock and I woke up, I think, around 9. My mom kept checking in on me and stuff like that and whatever. And I woke up at 9 and I was like, what was that? You know? And then we started looking into it, and it got really serious for me really quickly, because although, you know, we were off for Christmas vacation, things like that, things got really serious when I started to miss days of work because, you know, it started to follow me in different places. So I was having like panic attacks everywhere, in restaurants, in malls, like, you know, if I was over at somebody's house, sometimes even my own house, there was nowhere I was safe. And I even formed a little bit like of agoraphobia for a couple of days where I couldn't even leave the house. I couldn't even go grocery shopping. Like I couldn't, there was so much that I felt like I was debilitated, and it was so difficult for me to understand what was going on, and how to get help for it and what do I do. So I guess you could say that at that point, that's where it all like really started to settle in, that okay, there's some sort of mental health issue that I have. Maybe I never addressed it, and it just slapped me in the face so hard that like I was scared because I was like, I need to get my life back in order, and I don't really know how to do that. So to answer your question, Christmas Day, you know, 2013, that's where it really started to get serious for me.
Yeah, I get what you mean, especially with the not breathing. That's what happened with me. The first time I ever had a true panic attack. Like before, I was having waking up in the middle of the night, thinking, feeling heavy breathing, sweating, freaking out, and as I always was as a kid, as an adult, always was extra worried about my health, even when I was 100% healthy and young or younger now than I am 29-year-old young. But I always, over cared. I'm that one that does go to the ER for little things or walking clinics or whatever. And that's before the anxiety. So just add anxiety with it. So then when I had these nightmares, or what I thought were nightmares, that I woke up out of a dead sleep, that I'm freaking out, my heart's beating and even a little drooling, and I'm like, "What the heck's going on?" And I'm thinking 100 things. Am I gonna die? Am I choking? Heart attack, this and that. And sometimes I even, when I try to get out of bed, I froze. I couldn't move, and then I, slowly was moving. And the weird thing is, the thing that helped it was walking to my bathroom, which is short here to my bed here in the basement, um, and spitting in the sink, like something silly as that started to calm me down. It didn't do it right away, but it started to calm me down. It was the trigger, so to speak, to calm me down for those quote unquote nightmares that I was having. I mean, there was even one time where I literally woke myself up and try to call people to help, to ask, what's going on? What do you think? Telling them what's going on. My aunt is a nurse. My two cousins just finished nursing school a year ago, so asking them, this is what happened, whatever. What do you think's going on? Should I go in? And I was first appreciative that they're answering my calls. But the same thing with your situation. Some of them, and we're certainly are in certain instances with my mom when I had my true panic attack on driving on a highway, which I still to this day have not yet gone back on the highway truly here in Wisconsin. So not believing me, not laughing at me, but not taking it as serious as I am, because I'm feeling these things. Like, these are real things I'm feeling in my body. Like, I literally, maybe not like you, where you were feeling like something was sitting on your chest. For me, being a visual kind of person, it was like I could, in my mind, close my eyes like I am right now and literally feel like in my chest, something slowly closing. Like I can literally, like I could see it in my head, my eyes closed, when I was having this attack. You know, because I'm weird like that. I can physically feel things in my head that in the end weren't even happening. Like I feel like, oh, something's closing. You know, and
Yeah.
in the end you're just having a panic attack. So it's just weird in how I took it because again, I'm a visual kind of person, so I can close my eyes and literally picture it
Yeah.
like I'm an animated drawer, you know, for those cartoon shows or something where I, you know, artistic side, though I can't draw for crap, but I could at least. Point is, that's what happened, and again, with people, you know, not taking me as serious as I thought, or my mom and stuff like that, they care. So it's like in my head, I'm going, they care and they love me. That's my mom or my aunt or whoever I'm talking to. So there must be something in me that, you know, or something that's going on that I'm taking it too much. Like it is in my head, which in the end it was, that it is simply just a panic attack. You're not having a heart attack, and this and that. So with that first true panic attack I had on the highway, we were coming back from Merrill, the town an hour away, and we were instead of taking an exit that I'm used to going on, we just kept going on the main highway, which is Highway 51 in Wisconsin. And when I went past the overpass of that exit, then I started feeling quickly like I could feel the heart beating more and sweating a little bit and freaking out. And I'm looking everywhere like what's going on. And my mom was a passenger because I was taking her back because she just had surgery days ago, so she couldn't drive. And so I'm freaking out. I'm saying, "Mom, help me! What's going on? Something's going on! Something's going on! Mom, help me!" And at first, she's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I'm going, "My heart's beating faster, heart's beating faster. What do I do? What do I do?" Almost to the point that I was yelling. I'm like, "Mom, help me!" And I was freaking out because I thought I was dying and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm not.
Well, if I could just jump in there, I also think the fact that your mom wasn't able to drive made your little situation worse because it was almost like you were like, okay, I have to be strong here. This cannot happen right now. It was like the one moment you really didn't want it to happen. Of course, it's going to come. And that's where it starts. It probably was in the back of your mind going into, your little driving experiment and that sort of thing. And you probably just didn't want to like maybe address it, or maybe you did, or maybe you did address it and you were still a little bit worried that it could happen. And then once it starts, it's like, oh, here we go,
Yeah.
and then and I think that's the thing, Steve, that sometimes this stuff hits in a moment where we know that either all eyes are on us or like there's a situation where you need to step up and be that person, and then it's like once something can like trigger it, it feels like it's all downhill and it could spiral out of control from there.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's the again in that situation, I just triggered myself to relax. My mom was saying just to calm down. We got we're almost there. We're almost to the exit. And this and that, and I was able to get to where we were going to, which was the veterinarian to pick up pills for my dog. So I was able to get to the destination, but at that moment, yeah, I was freaking out to the point of yelling. Asking for help and assistance at that point. With my mom being in the passenger side. So, and then other times I've got panic attacks. Like once, one of my panic attacks since then was I was watching the news, the national news, not the local, the national news, and I forget the actor who passed away that day or something was on the news, and then they were doing the whole remembrance thing of him and this and that, and then for some weird reason I got a panic attack while watching that. I think in the end that was just my inherent fear of death, um,
Yes,
and stuff
yes.
like that.
You're not alone there. That's happened to me too. Like anytime there's something like a medical show or there's some guy has a heart attack on TV. Like I'm always like overthinking stuff and could that happen to me? And okay, that just had to hit that guy out of nowhere. It's going to hit me out of nowhere.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, no, that's fine. Hey, that's what this is for, communication. But no, in that instance, I had asked my mom, again for help, and she said go to her bedroom, lay down, and I lay down. Put on some soundscapes because it's very soothing for her. When she doesn't have panic attacks, she never has, but when she is stressed out in general, soundscapes, nature sounds, this and that she played or put on for me. And I was there trying to relax myself, calm myself down. Again, I closed my eyes, thought of a happy place. Okay, I'm good. and it took a little bit. It took like 10, 15 minutes. It didn't happen overnight. But point being is, I want to say to all those out there that do struggle with anxiety or had panic attacks in your life, those feelings are real, but those feelings aren't going to be lasting forever. And if you could find a trigger, or if you could find a thing that can help you, whether it's for me, either trigger my brains, or sometimes even when I think I'm having a high anxiety attack during a day, because I still deal with anxiety to this day on a daily basis, but in little spurts.
Hmm.
Because I'm also taking therapy that I've done since late last year, weekly therapy about it. So, and addressing the driving and slowly trying to get me back on the road, and this and that, or on the highway road at least. I can do side roads, but
Good. That's good. That's good
going
progress. That's
right
really good.
and getting back on the highway, like already 2 weeks ago, we have one part of our highway that has where the entry or on ramp to the highway is. You can stay on there to go to the next off ramp, like it's so close, sort of thing. So that was slowly getting me in there, because I only had, or going getting me on the highway, because I'm only on the highway technically for about 2 minutes, because again the on ramp is the same off ramp for the next exit. They're so close to each other on that highway. So that those little things, to get me back on there. But
Yeah.
anyway, for my day to day, the way I help myself to get over is like, you're fine, your grandpa's fine, dog's fine, everybody's fine. Relax. You're just feeling these feelings again. This is general things, like sometimes when I feel headaches or something in my head, whether here, or sometimes here, or otherwise part of my brain is like, okay, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. Get over yourself. Don't have a pity party. You're gonna be fine. But also understanding that they're still real, sort of thing. Like, uh, you know, address them, understand
Yeah,
them, but also,
exactly.
know that they're not that serious. Like even my therapist said, have you ever read reports of someone actually getting a heart attack from anxiety? Because he said
No.
I haven't. So know that, understand that, know that you're gonna be fine, um, and stuff like that. But when someone tells you, and I mean, when someone tells you that you're having these situations and these feelings, what I would want those people to do, to actually care more, take you more, more seriously than my mother did, or my aunt did, or in your case, their amount to you with the individuals from your family when you had yours.
Oh,
As much as maybe they already know what's going on, it does help the individual that you take it at least as serious as they are. Because there was one point when I had one of my true panic attacks, and I don't get panic attacks anymore, thank the Lord above. I've been lucky, no more panic attacks, just in daily anxiety. Um, that when I got one of them, my mom and my grandpa that were there literally weren't really doing anything, or I was saying, hey, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, and she's just like, calm down, calm down. I'm like, I can't calm down, I'm feeling these things,
yeah.
and stuff like that. Like, I
I know what you
understand
mean,
maybe.
Steve. Like it was the same thing with me that first day. Like, I had my mom and my ex-girlfriend communicating, and I spoke to her on the phone, and I just didn't feel any sense of urgency in her voice at all. And that all that did was bother me more. I'm like, what, you don't care about me? Like, what if, what if something was to actually really happen? This is how you want to go out? Like, I got into the defense mode on that. And then the same thing with my mother. I was like, because I'm literally saying call an ambulance, and she's literally like, no, you don't need one. And I was like, whoa, oh, whoa, So I can feel where you're coming from. It's they're a lot more similar than we think. The situations may be different, and for me myself too, it's like I haven't had like a serious panic attack like that in a long time. Like probably, well, I don't know the exact date. I wish I did, but at the same time, maybe I don't. But it's been a while. But like, because I had so many in the first couple of years that it's kind of like you, where it's just like daily anxiety for situations here and nor there. And sometimes it's just for no reason at all. I'll just be watching TV and everything is fine. And all of a sudden I'll just get some weird symptom. And then it's like, all right, here we go. Let's go through the motions. Like you were talking before about like what you do. Um, what I normally do when I'm feeling this way, or if I feel the wave of anxiety hitting, because we all know, like you guys, like you and me, we know when it's there. We know the difference between being a little nervous for something and you have like serious anxiety over it. There's a big difference. Or we know the difference between a panic attack and being a little bit winded because you went up a flight of stairs or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Like, we know the difference between it. So when it's there, we know it's there. And I think the biggest thing is what you said, where you address it. You accept it, like you acknowledge it, I should say. The first thing you should do is acknowledge it. You say, okay, it's here. I'm not going to fight it. In fact, on the other flip side of it, what I normally do is I accept it. I totally accept everything that's happening. In fact, go for it. Feel free to do it as you want. I'm having chest pains. Well, go ahead. I get the chest pains too, and that one's a scary one too, because I feel like I'm having a heart attack also. So it's like, I'm just like, go ahead, do your worst. And once you accept it, welcome it in, and let it do whatever it wants, it puts you in a position of power against it. Whereas before, the anxiety has all the power. I think welcoming it, acknowledging it, and accepting it, those three things, all of a sudden it doesn't come around. Like, think about it for a second. I've practiced this before, where literally, like, there was a couple of people that I really, really wanted them to see me go through it. You know what I mean? Like, I really wanted them to see it, just in case. I wanted them to see, like, see, this is real. Like, I almost wanted to have one in a weird way to almost prove a point. And going into that situation, it didn't happen because I wanted it to happen. So when these feelings are happening to you, I've noticed that once I start to put myself in a position of power, telling it literally, like, okay, anxiety, you know what? Have fun. Stay as long as you want. I don't really need you here right now, because it's a flight or fight thing, right? Like, you get the same symptoms as if you had a tiger in front of you. And, it's you get all these symptoms that happen, right? Like, so if you see a tiger in front of you out of nowhere, you're going to be like, your heart's going to race. You're going to probably sweat. You're going to probably lose a little bit of feeling in your hands and, your feet and whatever. Your stomach's going to turn. There's going to be like a plethora of like feelings and emotions and symptoms, but you don't care because there's a damn tiger in front of you. So you got to survive. The problem is with anxiety is you get all those things, but there's no tiger in front of you. So that's the interesting part. It's like your body is constantly in a state of survival when there's no fight to be had. And that's where it starts to follow you around. This tiger follows you around everywhere you go, and it can quickly consume your life. But once you start to realize and understand that, in fact, these things aren't dangerous, but actually they're helpful, I think it helps you to understand. Like, once you start to understand your enemy, it's more, you can kind of move with it and, understand it more and live with it. It's when you try to run away from something, the panic attacks and the anxiety gets worse. All of a sudden, like, you can't do this again, because every single time you go and do that, you remember, oh, last time I went here, this is what happened. I think that's what you're going through with the driving, unfortunately. I had the same thing, but not with the driving. It's public places, restaurants, especially. I still struggle with them a little bit to this day, but I'm so much better than what I used to be. Public malls is a big one for me. Sporting events, like, as much as I love wrestling, going to those Raw and SmackDowns, they're challenging. There's a lot of people there, and like, I'm like, oh man, what if I pass out in front of all these people? What's gonna happen? Is somebody gonna take care of me? All these little uncertainties is what keeps that anxiety like alive. But I really believe that you go into these things with an open mind. Instead of being scared, you just kind of almost take it along with you and say, here, have fun, do your thing. You'll notice that it gets a lot better because you're now not necessarily afraid of it. You're more expecting it and accepting it.
And then when you get to that point of expecting and accepting it, then it doesn't come around because you're expecting it and it never does come, and then it slowly goes away. And for everybody has anxiety. Everybody in the world, technically, it is within you. Again, it's whatever you use it, and most people are able to control it more than others. And sometimes, and something that I've learned from my therapy sessions that I've been having, is that, and one thing that I do is like I talk to it, like I'm talking to my anxiety. I'm saying, "Hey, how you doing today? Don't really need you, but welcome," sort of thing. Treating it as a secondary person, like my guest. You know, like a Steve Jr. or something. That's there. And otherwise, just addressing it to that way. That's the type of person I am. Kind of like with Randy Orton's theme song. Voices in my head. I'm always thinking, and I'm always having thoughts in my head. And sometimes that's negative with the anxiety because it keeps you thinking. But since I've started my new job at Papa Murphy's pizza restaurant, that I haven't really had I've had the anxious moments at work. Like you would think that's where you would have it the most time, right? Because you're at a new job, you have to learn all these things. For me, I want to be, you know, promotions and all those other things and all the other grandeur stuff of within the line of work that I'm doing now. That I would have more anxiety or maybe even an actual panic attack because you're feeling you're behind the eight ball or this and that, or are they talking about you and all this other stuff. But while I'm working, I don't have that. I don't even have time to do that. Like, because I have to get things done or learn things and this and that. And the only time I would be able to have the issues is after work. And by that time, I'm too tired and just want to go home and play with my dog and take her outside or whatever that I have to do and be there for her and my grandfather. So, it's just I can't say non-existent. I still have the anxiety while at work, but not as much. Very short moments because again, I have to, have to do the next thing and whether told or no, have to do this or that and on all the other stuff of my job and customers coming in,
Yeah.
and being a good team member. So it still happens, but I think work has actually helped me relieve it during those times, right? Because if I was at home, as I used to be, not working, I have all that time and
To think.
to think of
Yeah.
you myself, but because it's just me.
Yeah.
And at one point, it was just me and my grandfather when my mom was at work, but now me, dog, and grandfather. So, it's just I think having the dog, having the new puppy now, and having a job is actually helping me with the daily anxiety. Where yes, it's still there, but I have things to do that
Yeah.
I don't have time to sit to think about it, and for it to get
Yep.
worse.
I agree with you, man. And it was funny because, I missed a lot of time at work, like a lot. At first, when these things were first happening, like I get, 5 personal days or whatever at work a year, right? And I blew through those before February. It was crazy because I just, every time I had one, I was like, I'm going home. Or if I woke up that day and I just wasn't there, I didn't feel it. There's times where I just turned around, went back home. I'm not coming in. Da, 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 da. My work knew there was something going on. I was going through a lot of problems too at that point. Um, but it got worse and worse and worse. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna get fired now and all this kind of stuff? But it was funny because once I started to like I'm crazy when it comes to trying to better myself every day. It's something I've really practiced in the last you know couple of years or so, and I don't want to be defeated. It's like the John Cena never give up attitude. Like, I'm not going to give up. Whatever this is, I'm going to either beat it or I'm going to work with it. It's one of the two, and I'm going to make it work. And I'm going to get my life back. Actually, I'll get a better version of my life back, and use this as a positive if there's such a thing. Um, and it's unbelievable how everything kind of changed because once I started to, it was small goals for me. It was like, oh, cool, I got through a day of work. Hey, I got through 2 days of work, and I would write it down. And then, hey, I got through a 5-day week. This is great. I haven't done that yet in 2014 at that time,
Right.
and like all those little things, like I just started to, chalk up another one. And I can proudly say that it's been almost, I want to say about 4 years now that I haven't missed a day of work or an event. Well, event is An event is probably on the. I'd have to think about that one. It's probably a little bit less, but the
Hmm.
work one, it's been a long time since I've missed a day of work. Almost, I'd say about 4 years. And
Hmm.
once you get that streak going, you don't want to, even when I would have like really hard days, really hard days, where the only thing I wanted to do was get up and leave. And I just said, no, here, like I would like listen to some videos on YouTube. There's a ton of stuff out there. Like, oh my God, I got to get to that after. But I would listen to certain key videos that always calmed me down and always helped to ground me and kept things in perspective. And I applied those steps and it always made me feel better. And so it was like my outlet. But if I didn't have my headphones with me, it would have been a little bit trickier, but I would still try to remember. I mean, I watched the damn video so many times, I can almost say it word for word, you know? So I was like, well, maybe I don't really need it. And then I would just practice it and I would slowly not need the videos and I would just keep practicing what was in the videos and just go through the motions, and everything kind of got a little bit better and better. But it was funny because now that it's been like 4 years since I haven't missed a day of work, like I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that ever again. Like it was just one of those things. Like I'm like, I've gotten through it before and I'm going to get through it again. And that's the biggest thing to remember too. It's like you got through the last one and you know you're going to get through this one. So don't run away from it, because if you run away from it, it's just going to get worse. And the biggest thing for me also, going back to the accepting, welcoming, and acknowledging it, was also try to get comfortable being uncomfortable. It sounds really weird, but you get comfortable in your anxious discomforts,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it just changes everything. I promise you. These are the things that I have to keep telling myself when I go through it. And I go through it on a daily for sure. But I agree with you that sometimes it's good, to like preoccupy yourself. I'm not saying distract yourself and pretend it's not there. No, but it
Right.
definitely helps the process knowing that you have things to do. And then, okay, you get into a conversation. Like there's times where I would just be going through super anxiety, and all of a sudden I would strike up a conversation with somebody. As awkward and weird as that is,
Right. Right.
next thing you know, like I'm there and I'm laughing, or I'd say some stupid joke. I just let go. And once you let go and just learn to love it in a weird way, it just changed everything. And then like the conversation would help. And next thing you know, 5-10 minutes, I'm back to being me again.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think for you, it's kind of similar too.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna need to take those ideas into action with it when it pertains to me and my driving on the highway. Like I did it all through my life, since I got a gosh darn license, temporary license first at 15 and a half, and all the way up to now 29. And I've driven on US Highway 51 so many times to Merrill, to other towns, to other places. It's nothing new. Things aren't changing. It's well, weather does, but beyond that, um, I should be fine. I should be good. I should be able to do this. I think the reason that I haven't been back truly on a highway yet is because each time I go past an interchange or when I am on the side roads and I go over a bridge that can overlook a highway, I freak out because again, I'm a visual person. Like I see myself on the highway and I'm freaking out already when I'm not even on the highway. I'm on a side road looking, over where, because it goes over a highway, the bridge that I'm going over, it's kind of weird in that way, but it's just my fear of it. Like I'm already feeling like I'm there and the anxiousness and stuff like that. I think for me, the biggest thing I'm going to take away from this video and from what you were talking about is of the accepting of it and the feeling comfortable, feeling uncomfortable like I am now with headaches or whatever throat thing I get sometimes. Sometimes I get a throat thing where I feel like I'm choking on something, or it could
Yeah.
just be extra saliva. Um, I did actually go to not ER but a walk-in because I thought something was going on, and they said this is one of the key things for anxiety because actually the doctor that saw me, his mother goes through anxiety, and she had that happen a couple of times and called her son, who's a doctor, and thought that something really was wrong, and he said, well, just having anxiety, you know, sort of thing. So those are another thing that I have sometimes, and it does freak me out. But if I go with your thinking of what worked for you of be comfortable being uncomfortable, and in
It's
time
huge.
you'll be fine. Now, one thing I did want to bring up on my end is that this is where my competitiveness, which sometimes can be a bad thing because I'm over competitive and care when it's just, family playing, pick up basketball or bowling, or sometimes it comes in a bad way where you don't need to be competitive. This is fun, but you're caring too much. In this sense with anxiety, I think it's helping me in the sense of I want to defeat it. I want to control it. I want to defeat panic attacks. Because in the end, at least to me, you don't defeat anxiety. Anxiety is within you forever. And to be quite honest, you want that there in your life when true, real situations. Um, I forgot the animal you were talking about. Tiger? Or if a tiger, or a
Yeah.
lion, or a bear, or
The,
something actually is in
the
front of you,
the
or
flight or fight, you need it,
right, you need it. You
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 know?
want that in your body. It just freaks you out because this is in a different form, and being anxiety, it scares you because you think you're dying and all this other stuff. But know that you want that. So what I do with my competitiveness that I always have, just like I am having now with this whole Kip Clips promo battle that we're a part of. It don't need to truly be competitive. It's all fun and games, but I'm still as a competitive person I am, I want to beat everybody's ass and win. But in the end, it's just for fun. You make new friends and you get your channel out there to his fan base. So that's what I'm realizing in that. Point being, back to anxiety is that for me with my competitiveness, I'm using that ultra competitiveness that I have of I want to defeat a panic attacks, and it seems like I have. Let's keep that going. I also want to control anxiety, have it here, but I don't want it to run my life. So, I want to defeat it. I'm going to win. This is a battle I can win. This is a contest or anything else that, thing that you enter that I can win, that I can control, that I can make sure happens, that I can, for gosh darn sakes, make sure in the end I am victorious, that I am the victor. And then above that, feeling like a new Steven has arrived. Then again, a different Steven arrived with this anxiety and the issues and caring so much because when I was younger, I didn't. Because I made bad choices with drinking so much sugary drinks and all this other stuff that I didn't care. Um, or didn't care of other things and this and that, and just went through my days and I was fine and no issues and no anxiety, no stress.
Yeah.
Then I grew up, went into the military, had my experiences there, and for some reason things changed, and now I have the anxiety. But I wanted to. I think the main thing, the number one thing I want to be taking away from this is the being used to and happy with and okay with the uncertainty and being okay with those weird feelings and feeling that being your new normal. And then at some point, when you feel that is your new normal, that will then in its own way go away and you'll be a true self, be a better Stephen, learn from it. And something I want to do then afterwards or now continuously is here with this YouTube channel is talk more and more about it, whether in videos or in other other ways. If I did become more popular YouTuber, do speaking things, be a speaker, talk about my anxiety,
It's a good
go how you
idea.
defeat it.
You should even maybe start a channel based on that. Like, I don't know what you can call it, but I think that'd be good. And then you can do what you're doing with me and have people tell their story and stuff like that. It's interesting. And it's a massive worldwide topic, and it hits people in so many different ways. And it's just, it's really, really interesting just to see how much of a game changer it is. Like it flipped my life upside down. And like I just said to myself, I'm gonna have two choices here. One is I'm gonna feel sorry about myself and just do nothing and be a nobody and all that, or I'm gonna fight with it, not even against it. I'm gonna just fight with it, and just it's gonna come with me wherever I go. Like you said, like we need it. And there's certain areas in your brain that remembers like okay, like you drank this one thing one time and you got like a bad reaction, and let's say it's a dark color, it's a
Hmm.
dark liquid, and then all of a sudden, like the next day somebody pours you a glass, you don't know what's in it, automatically you're going to think, ooh, danger, like, and that fight or flight is so important. It's the reason why sometimes you trip over your own feet and you could easily fall on your face, but somehow, some way, like faster than Superman, you're able to regain your steps and you don't fall. That's what the fight or flight is. There's danger, and it's like that split second. Automatically, your body knows and your brain knows, like, oh, something's going on. Okay, do something about it. And it's just I looked into this like so much, and that's how I am when it comes to either any challenge that I'm faced with, or a quest that I have that I want to do, I become obsessed with it, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different areas of my life where I practice different things, but I'm a creature of habit and I do my own thing. And I just kind of put it all together, and it just to a point where it makes sense to me. And I started looking into this really deeply, because at first I was just on um, medication, and I knew that wasn't going to be the end all be all for me. I knew that, okay, this is a way to control it. This is a way for me to get my feet wet again with going back to work and going out in public places and all that stuff. And it did benefit, and there was merit behind it. I'm not going to take away from it. But for me, I was like, I don't want to do this, because I didn't want to use it as a crutch. And like, let's say I was going somewhere and I didn't have it, I knew I would just lose my marbles, because and also, like, unfortunately, I have a little bit of addictive personality. So I didn't want to like become dependent on it all the time. And I felt like at first when I was on the pills, I was dependent on it. Like I was taking like 4 pills a day or something like that, spaced out throughout the day and whatnot. And then like, as soon as I felt like it was wearing off, it was like, oh, I got to take another one, and I just knew that wasn't the way for me. I started to look into a lot of self-help stuff. 2 things helped me that I'd like to share with you also, because maybe it could help you. It did cost a little bit of money. I think each program was, I don't remember 100%, but it was anywhere from $50 to $100, both of them. Maybe even a little bit more, 130. But the way I looked at it, it was like, well, this is my health. This is my life. I'm doing it. And the first one that I looked into was Panic Away. And that was with a doctor, I think in Ireland, called Barry McDonough. And I'll send them to you after. Some remarkable stuff, and what to do, and the 21-7 technique. And, it doesn't just touch the panic attack aspects. It touches the generalized anxiety disorder. It attacks the agoraphobia. It attacks all kinds of different forms of anxiety, that I felt like it really, really helped. And then, as much as that helped me, I still felt that there was a little bit more to be taught. Like, I felt like there was something else out there that I really wanted to know. And then I started to look in, and I found this guy. His name's Gert, and it's spelled Geert. And he's from Belgium, Belgium, Brussels, something like that. And he's got an accent and everything. And he's awesome too. And his thing was, I think it was ilovepanicattacks.com, which kind of goes with what I was talking about before. It's like, I found it so funny. It's like, what do you mean you love panic attacks? But it was really a hidden message behind it, like that you have to like love them and just accept them. And like, his videos was awesome too, because not only did it touch on the inner mind of how it works, why you get them, how you get them, how they get worse, and the circle, and how to cut the circle, because that's what it is, right? It's a circle. So you have a symptom or a thought, and you could either break it right there, or it'll get worse, and then it gets worse, and then it's a boom, 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 and it just goes around and around and around until you're losing your stuff. But for me, like, it was different lifestyle habits that I changed too, right? He didn't mention any of this in his video, but like, I quit smoking cigarettes. I stopped drinking a lot, because that would just bring on a lot of the symptoms that I was having. So I was like, okay, I'll diminish one, and I'll get rid of one, and then I'll just space out the drinking for when I have a good time or whatever, and not have like the same feeling like I had on that Christmas day. Like, I haven't really had a hangover like that since, and thank God, because every time I do get it, it's like, oh, it's like the worst day ever. Not just on a how you feel standpoint, but on an anxiety standpoint, oh my God, it makes you feel that much worse. So it was also other little things that we do every day, Steve, that you'll have no idea. And one of them is drinking coffee. Anything with caffeine, I eliminated immediately. I haven't had a cup of real coffee or tea in It would be 4 years now.
Mm.
And that doesn't just go for that. Like I'll have a decaf. I drink decaf in the first thing in the morning or when after my workout. I'll have a decaf. That's my life now. Like I like the taste of coffee, so I wasn't gonna give it up completely. You know what I mean? Like I love the taste, so I was like,
Right.
well, I'll have a decaf. There's no caffeine in it, so I had to eliminate all the things with caffeine. So that means no more Coke, Pepsi, all those any kind of like those kind of drinks. I don't have them
Sure.
anymore. When I have a drink, like a soft drink, when I'm eating fast food, I'll have either 7-Up or ginger ale because those two things don't contain caffeine. And I think some root beers,
Yeah,
not
that's
all
what.
of them, but
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. I've actually been doing it for a year. Technically, I actually started before I even got anxiety, to be quite honest. Stopped having the Pepsi because in the past I had due to the Pepsi and how much I had, like once when I was a kid, and I'm not so proud of it. I was when I was younger, but I used to have like close to half of those cases in a day of Pepsi, and it got to the point after I got another meal turners at home that I had a situation at the evening again, this time different, and I had acid reflux issue, and from that point, I stopped having caffeine overall, and now I have this every night or 2 times a day. It's mug root beer, and it does not have any caffeine at all. There it is. Yay. Mug root beer, no caffeine. So that's what I go to. I never, because when I go to, like, when I do go fast food sometimes, um, I I usually don't get a drink because I just take it home and have milk with it.
yeah.
Um, because I assume all of them have some sort of caffeine in them. So I don't have any of those drinks at all. But at home, I have the mug root beer is my drink of choice because I still enjoy that stuff. I also have been big into the Boost energy drinks. I don't know if you ever had those Boost energy drinks.
Those are just, oh, yeah, those will kill you.
I have those. I enjoy those. Have the one with high protein, and I think it's my favorite, and the chocolate, flavoring.
Oh, the Boost, those ones. Okay, I thought you
Yeah.
meant like the actual like
Oh no, no, no. I
high
mean Boost. The
Red
Boost.
Bull and stuff. I'm like, oh no,
Oh
dude.
no, no, no. I mean the Boost nutritional energy drinks.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, those are okay. Those are okay.
yeah, I have those, especially the ones with high protein and stuff like that. Um, especially after I had my dental surgery. So, uh, definitely I have enjoyed those, and those changes may not have helped with the anxiety because in the end I started some of those before even getting the anxiety. So those are kind of productive against that, but that's what I've continued to do. But just battling the symptoms that I have. Like right now, I have like a minor headache right now, and whatever going through doing this video or just during my days or other feelings and body and this and that. But like I said, when I'm at work, I feel them a lot less, or they're very short going because I have things to do and moving on. So it's a little bit different in that case, but certainly have slowly been getting better, doing my therapy each and every week, talking about other ways to cope with it, and slowly get back on the highway and this and that, and doing better in that case. And like I said, in the end of this, whenever this journey does end of containing for me the anxiety, defeating the panic attacks, then being a different Steven, being a new Steven, being a
Yeah.
better one, and be able to move on from there and then talking about it in however platform I'm able to at that point in time. But yeah, I just wanted to obviously share our stories and our experiences with anxiety, panic attacks, and other situations as well. If you have had a if you yourself have dealt with panic attacks, anxiety, depression issues, or otherwise, welcome to share your story in the comments. I'd love to read them, no matter how short or how long. I definitely have the time to do so. So we'll read them, reply to them, and go from there. Certainly, welcome to everybody to share your story, share your experiences if you care to, if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. Welcome to smash the like button, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed. Go over to Mounties Corner and subscribe there with his wrestling talk, skits, and otherwise over there, Mounties Corner. It is spelled how it sounds. So simply go over there, Mounties Corner. But yeah, I just wanted to ask Mountie if there's anything else last year you wanted to bring up before I bid you adieu for the evening that you wanted to share to me or to the general audience.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to like any of this, you guys battling it with or whatever, Symptoms come from either things that you're doing, things in your diet, or just situations, right? For me, one couple of things that I changed a lot in my diet was getting rid of caffeine completely. And like Steve was saying, you know, there's certain soft drinks out there that don't have it. So that mug root beer is one of them. Maybe the A&W one, I'm not sure. 7-Up and Sprite don't have it any in there. I would have decaf coffee, some sort of tea that doesn't contain caffeine, so something like chamomile or whatever. Those sleepy time teas help me. Sometimes I have magnesium, like magnesium pills at night that help me relax and stuff, and it kind of carries over into the next day, which is nice. Just one a day sort of thing at night before I go to bed with my like sleepy tea, if you will. Eliminating as much MSG as you possibly can. So you can find like monosodium glutamate in like bags of chips and, you know, a lot of processed stuff. So watch out for that. And so MSG, aspartame is a big one too. So if you think you're getting, you know, if you're going through all this and, you know, you have aspartame, like a Diet Coke or, you know, some sort of things like that, like it's not going to help your case. All these things can trigger some sort of anxiety related symptom or whatever the case is. So once you eliminate the symptoms, you're kind of halfway there, I find. Making those small changes to your diet, any sort of symptoms that you do feel, like I was saying before, just acknowledge it, accept it, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and it puts you in that position of power again, where anxiety can literally take that from you and, you know, make you feel like you're worthless. And for me, those are the biggest things that I taken away from it. Feel free to, like, you know, reach out to me if you're ever kind of going through anything like this, walk you through it. There's tons of videos out there online, things that can help. Medication's not always the way to go. I'm not a doctor, so don't, you know, quote me on that. But I really feel that sometimes you can kind of, if it's not too, and I know that there's a place for medication. I'm not saying that it's not useful, but if you can, with the aid of a doctor and all that kind of stuff, if you can avoid it and work on, you know, these anxiety related symptoms, whatever the case is, by yourself, by, you know, understanding it and moving with it, that sort of thing, I think you can also benefit from that as well. So whatever works for you, I would just, you know, consider working with that. Like Steve said, find something that, you know, you're able to sort of calm down once you start, you know, having any feelings, that sort of thing. And it's going to help you kind of going forward, and you can practice that, and, you know, you will get your life back together. I went from not even barely leaving the house to look at my YouTube channel, and I'm recording something for, you know, like 100,000 people to watch sometimes. You know, I'm not saying I get that many views, but you get where I'm coming from. Like a total, like, on who knows about me now, and my channel grew, and people expect some stuff of me, and, you know, I have very good credibility at work. You know, I have a lot going on. I have a lot going on now than when I did when I first started having the anxiety. So your life's not over. Never think of it that it is. There's always help out there, whether me, Steve, doctors. You know, find the right one. Find the right one for you. Go to these clinics. Go to the therapy sessions. That's something that I actually wanted to do a lot more, and I haven't still done that yet, and I'm planning on doing it in the near future. So tons of help out there, guys. You just gotta, you know, don't be afraid to open your mouth. Don't be afraid to talk about it with people, and just let it happen. And the more you talk about it, I find too, when you're feeling those things, the worst thing you can do is keep it to yourself. Even if you pull your friend aside and be like, hey, I'm not really feeling that good right now. You know, go outside for a quick minute, and then you kind of walk through it, and then, you know what, go back inside, and, you know, just don't give up. Don't leave the situation. Deal with it, if you will, and go through the practices, go through the motions within yourself with the steps that have worked for you in the past. And you're going to see that the next time it happens, you're going to be ready for it. And, you know, that anxiety is knocking on the wrong door. So you just got to stick with it. And, you know, this was a pleasure talking about tonight. It's a close topic for me, an emotional one as well. hits really close to home. So once Steve said that he was going to do a video about it, I was all for it. So thanks again for having me, Steve.
Yeah, great to have you hear your story as well. Like I said, I want to hear all yours out there, guys, gals, men, women, whatever your age, whatever your situation was. Welcome to share your story in the comment section below. Also, again, go over to Mounties Corner, subscribe over there to that channel. Also, when you subscribe to our channel, you're also welcome to ring the bell and know when we do upload videos to our individual channels from there. But yeah, anxiety, a big topic, a topic that hopefully more and more people talk about. Mental health is a real situation, real issues, and there's always help out there, whether locally in your areas, again, individuals, family members, doctors, or if you want to reach out on YouTube to us here, Mountie and myself. We're always here to listen to your stories, try to help you out as much as we can, and then you go from there. Obviously, it's your situation, whatever you feel is best, the best route to take to improve, let's say, your situation, to battle your anxiety. Then you go accordingly. But if you want some guidance, want some assistance, want some help, want some opinions, welcome to share your story with us, and we will answer them accordingly as well. But again, I thank Mounties Corner for being here. And I thank you all that watch live and those that will be watching archived. This will be posted here shortly. I certainly will be sending this video out to some people that I know personally, including one of my coworkers actually as well. So hopefully you all have a good rest of your evening. I will be back here tomorrow night as I always am on Thursday nights. Steve's Wrestling Ramble. We'll be going over Raw, SmackDown, WWE news, and also WWE Fastlane results from the previous Sunday as well there tomorrow night on the channel. So again, hope everybody has a good day. And thank you for stopping by this channel for watching this type of video. I know I usually talk sports, lightheartedness, stuff like that, but sometimes serious topics and serious life things do happen in anyone's life. So I want to share my experience, my situation, and how maybe if I touch one person to help one person, then it is well worth it. Helping others, dealing with their situation, and even hearing other stories will help put mine in perspective as well. So I greatly appreciate that. So above all else, as always, take care.